So welcome to the session. In the previous session, what we discussed? We discussed about OLTP and OLAP. What is OLTP? Online Transaction
Online
Processing
transaction data.
System, which we use to create daily transactions. It contains operational data, the daily business data, right? The example for operational data are OLTP data. If you take bank, the daily customer deposits and withdrawals are the example for operational data, right? And every day after business hours, what will happen? This transactional data will be copied to OLAP system or OLAP system, online analytical processing system, right? What is the use of this OLAP system? For data analysis, report generation. This is also called decision making system, right? Where some like company management will analyze the data, historical data, years old data to identify customer and their spend analysis, right? Everything like so that they can do better decisions by analyzing the data, right? So why that both the transactions and data analysis will happen in the same system, OLTP system? Why we have a separate system for data analysis? To reduce the load on the OLTP systems, right? When you are trying to aggregate, when you are trying to analyze millions of records, right? There will be huge load on the OLTP system. One way, transactions are going to happen. The other way, if you are trying to generate any data analysis reports, there will be a huge load on the OLTP system. To avoid that, right, we have a separate system that is called OLAP system where we move all the transactions every day using some ETL. ETL means extraction, transformation,
Extraction,
and loading.
transformation, and loading.
We move business data to OLAP system and do the data analysis in OLAP system. There are other advanced features available in OLAP, right? We can discuss it later, like multi-dimensional modeling. I don't want to confuse by mentioning all those. And we discussed about SAP. What is SAP? SAP is a ERP product. SAP is a ERP product which helps to run the organization, right? What is ERP? ERP is enterprise
And
resource planning software, right? Which helps to run any organization, which provides better integration between different departments or different functionalities. It will reduce the manual effort, right, to run the business. What is manual effort? Which we do manually, which humans do manually, right? And it will improve the business efficiency, business performance, right? So if you take SAP, it is a product, SAP ERP product, which is developed by, which is designed and developed by SAP. Company name is also SAP. Okay. Product is SAP. What do you mean by product? Which contains predefined functionalities, right? The standard functionalities are already developed in the SAP product. So where we use ABAP? ABAP is a fourth generation programming language we use to enhance the existing SAP applications or to create custom applications, right? And what are the versions? Like previously, we have SAP ECC, and the current version is the current SAP ERP version is SAP S4 HANA. Okay. And I'll provide you the differences between ECC and S4HANA. And we have also gone through master data, transactional data. What is master data? Master data is the data which changes very rarely. Example for
Rarely.
master data is your bank account number details, bank master
Details.
data, your account number, your name, address, phone number, and email ID. This is example for master data. And for transaction data, which changes very frequently, right? Day to day
Yes,
basic,
sir.
like your deposits, withdrawals. These are
Withdraw.
examples for the transactions data, right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What else we discussed? So we discussed about the functional modules available in SAP. So each functional module will have a functional consultant. What is the job of functional consultant? Analyzing the business requirements. Analyzing the business requirements, right? And providing specification documents for the ABAP developer. Okay. What does that specification document contains? Inputs to develop the applications or to enhance the existing applications. What are these inputs? What is the input of that application? What is the output of the application? Right? What is the design of the application? What is the logic we need to write in the application? Everything they'll provide. As a ABAP developer, what is your responsibility? You need to convert that functional specification into application. You need to design or develop a ABAP application. Okay. Whenever you need inputs about the logic or functionality, you can approach the respective functional consultant. Okay. Yeah. So that's about the basics what we have discussed in the previous session. And now we'll discuss about the architecture, right? The basic architecture of the SAP system, right? So this is the R3 architecture. R3 means there are three layers. There are three layers in SAP ERP system. First one is presentation layer. Second one is application layer. Third one is database layer. What is presentation layer? Presentation layer is something where user can provide the inputs and access the output. Example for, I'll give you one real-time example for presentation layer. How many of you know Gmail or any email server? I hope most of you know at least Gmail or Facebook or any other social media
Yes,
account.
sir.
How can you access them?
Yes.
How can you access them?
Based on their URLs.
Yeah, by using some URL, you are going to access it from some web browser, Chrome or Edge or Internet Explorer, right? By typing the URL, by providing your login details, you are able to access, right?
Yes, sir.
Gmail or any other application. That
Web applications,
browser,
right?
yeah, that browser, what you are, where you are accessing that Gmail is, we call as presentation layer. That is one of the example for presentation layer, right? Do we have any software installed in your laptop for which is related to Gmail?
No, sir.
No, right? You
No,
did
right,
not
sir.
have any softwares or database in your system. You are just simply going to some browser and typing the URL and able to access Gmail, right? That is called presentation layer. So throughout the world, millions of users can access Gmail from their web browsers, right? So that is called presentation layer, where they can provide the input in terms of login details and access the output in terms of their emails, right? And application server. Let's come to application server. So application server contains application programs, right? Application programs. When a user provided a input from the presentation layer, what will happen? The corresponding program or application in the application server will execute, and it provides the relevant output for the user in the form of response, right? Whenever a user executed some statement in the presentation layer, the corresponding application program will execute in application server, and it will provide the relevant output
response.
for the user in the form of response, right? So what does the application server contains? Programs, application programs, business logic. Okay, it's not going to store any data or any records. It will just contains application programs, right? Whenever a user requested something, the corresponding application program will execute and provide the response. There will be lot of programs in the application server, which is related to different functionalities. Okay,
Okay.
and database layer. What is database layer or database server? Database server or database layer is used to store the data in the form of tables. Okay,
Tables.
yeah, it will
Yes, sir.
just store the data permanently in the database in the form of tables. Okay, so why we divided the system into three different layers? If we install everything in the same system, your system may not perform well. For example, if you need to access Gmail, it is not possible to install Gmail server and Gmail database in your laptop. It is highly impossible. They are huge. Your system requirements or your system configuration may not be enough to handle all that load. And the other thing is, if something wrong with your system, if there is any disaster happens, you're going to lose all the application server and database server if you keep everything in the same system, right? So that is the reason why the system is divided into three different layers. So database server contains the database, right? That can be any database. If it is ECC, like previous version of SAP ERP, but if it is SAP S4 HANA, it runs only on HANA database. Okay, I'll explain more detailed about it. So whenever a user requested for something, a corresponding application program in the application server will execute, and that program will connect with database layer to get the data, from the database tables, corresponding database tables for that program, and return the data to application server. And the application server will process the data and returns that data to user. Okay, clear? This is the three-tier architecture of
Yes.
SAP. Each server will be installed in a different system. Okay, application server might be in USA, database server might be in Singapore, right? When they are installing or when they are configuring these data servers, they'll consider many things. The location, the geographical location of the database server, everything they'll consider. right? To avoid any disasters, right? For example, if that particular geographical location is prone to earthquakes or frequent storms or any natural disasters, environmental disasters, no one will keep their data centers or servers in those locations. Okay. So before
Yes,
company
sir.
set up any server, they'll do a lot of analysis and they'll set up these servers in a safe places to avoid any disasters, right? Because if there is any disaster happens, the company is going to lose all their data, right? Is everyone clear on this architecture of the
Yes, sir.
SAP?
Clear.
Yes, sir.
This architecture is common for many technologies, right? Not only for SAP. We don't keep everything in the same system, application programs and database in the same system. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, in SAP, we have ECC and S4 HANA. ECC is the previous version of S4 HANA. Now, let's see what is the difference between ECC and S4 HANA systems. ECC means ERP central component, and S4 HANA is the current version of SAP ERP, which runs on which database? HANA database. HANA is a database. SAP S4 HANA SAP S4 HANA runs only on HANA database. But what about ECC? ECC is database independent. So ECC can run on any database. Here, if you observe the database layer, the application server will be SAP, right? The application server will be SAP, right? It's their own SAP server. But when it comes to database, that can be any database, Oracle, MS SQL. There are a lot of other database, right, available in market. So the customer can install any database as per their requirement when it is in ECC, right? But when SAP developed their own database, that is HANA. HANA is SAP's own database. So they simplified or they migrated all the SAP ECC application programs to SAP S4 HANA, and SAP S4 HANA should run only on which database? HANA database, right? So SAP S4 HANA supports only HANA database. So there are many advantages of HANA database when you compare with other databases like Oracle or MSBI or some MS SQL server. Sorry, MSBI is not a database. MS SQL server and DB2, there are other databases. Performance wise, HANA is best in the current database market because it is uses in-memory database. Yeah, we'll discuss uh, after few sessions about the features of HANA database, right? But what is the SAP version that is using in the projects? Is it SAP ECC or SAP S4 HANA? Migrations are happening. The current, so whatever the projects currently happening are migrations from SAP ECC to SAP S4 HANA, right? Migrating from previous version of SAP ERP, SAP ECC to SAP S4 HANA. There are many projects that are going on now. So most of the customers using SAP S4 HANA in these days. Okay. Even they are using SAP ECC previously. Most of them are migrated to SAP S/4HANA. Okay. Now the current version is SAP S/4HANA, and there are different releases in the S/4HANA. I think the current release is 2022. I think S/4HANA 2022. Okay. There are many versions they are going to release yearly, right? For SAP S/4HANA. And there are projects which still running on SAP ECC. There are many projects which are still running on SAP ECC. Okay, there are many projects. They are still working on SAP ECC. They did not migrated to SAP S/4HANA. Okay, most of them are support projects. Most of them are support projects implemented maybe 15-20 years ago. Okay, they are still running on SAP ECC. But what happens if your business still runs on SAP ECC and did not migrate to SAP S/4HANA? Your business may not be able to use the advanced features of SAP S/4HANA. That is one thing. And if you are still using SAP ECC, SAP is not going to provide any support. SAP is not going to provide any support. They stopped supporting SAP ECC. If you have any issues in the system, if you have any issues in the software, SAP is not responsible for SAP ECC because they stopped support for SAP ECC. Right? You might be familiar with your mobile phones. Your mobile phones, like in old mobile phones, your phone company may not support any new upgrades, new releases, right? If you are still on uh, previous version of Android, they won't release any new versions for your old mobile phone, right? They won't support anymore. Similarly, SAP also won't support SAP ECC licenses, right? That's why most of the companies are migrating to SAP S/4HANA. Here also, ABAP developer needs to work on migrating the code in SAP ECC to migrating to S/4HANA compatible programs or S/4HANA compatible applications. Right? Simple thing is SAP ECC is database independent. The customer can use any database in SAP ECC, but in SAP S/4HANA, it is database dependent only. We can use a S/4HANA database, right? And in S/4HANA, we have two variants. We have two variants of SAP S/4HANA. One is on-premise edition, on-premise license. The other one is cloud. The other one is cloud version. One is on-premise version. The other one is cloud version. In SAP ERP, S/4HANA ERP. What is on-premise? What is on-premise version and what is cloud version? On-premise is nothing but SAP server is installed in your organization landscape. You have full control on the system. Your company or you have full control on the system. It is installed in your own servers. What is on-premise? On-premise is installed in your own servers and your organization will manage these servers. Who will manage the on-premise servers? The organization which purchases the SAP license, right? They are responsible to manage the on-premise system, including database server, application server, everything, right? If there are any new releases, new upgrades to the on-premise edition, the organization is responsible to install those new releases and test the application. Everything, who is responsible here? The organization itself responsible when we are using on-premise edition, right? System maintenance and upgrades, everything will be handled by the organization. It is responsible, like it is organizational responsible to maintaining the servers and upgrading the servers. When you go to SAP S/4HANA cloud version is different than on-premise. Cloud version will be managed by SAP. Upgrades or any system maintenance activities will be handled by SAP itself, right? The company, the company can just start using it. You don't need to, the company doesn't need to worry about the system maintenance and upgrades. Who will handle the system maintenance and upgrades? SAP itself. SAP company will take care of any system maintenance activities or upgrades in the cloud version, right? It is just like subscribing something. You don't need to install or maintain anything. Just subscribe to the cloud version and start using it, right?
Yes,
Zero.
sir.
But on premise, you need to set up your own servers and you need to maintain your servers, right?
Yes, sir.
It's like owning a, it's like owning a, it's like buying a new car versus using some rental car or
Rentals car.
taking car on a lease basis, right? 10 years lease or
Yes, sir.
20 years lease, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If you buy the car, you are responsible for the maintenance, repairs, right? Everything.
All those things
If you lease
regarding.
the car, the actual owner of the car will take care of maintenance, right? Repairs or anything. You can just, you just need to use that car, right? You're going to pay some amount and you can use that car, right?
Yes, sir.
But
Obviously.
if you buy a new car, you need to take care of the car, like including maintenance and any repairs or anything. You are the responsible person. Anyway, if there is any issue, company will support, right? If there is any issue in the car, you can take it to the company and they'll fix it. If you cannot fix it, right? Company will support. If you buy some uh, Toyota car, if there is some issue, if you cannot fix it, you can take it to the company. If it is under warranty, or they'll fix it, right? The company will fix that issue, right? For example, if it is in
Yes,
cloud
sir.
version, if it is in cloud version, you don't need to worry about anything. The company will take care of everything. You can just use car, right?
Simply, one
Simply use
thing,
it.
they just provide the solution for our
Yeah,
requirement.
yeah. Pay the amount and
Yes,
use
sir.
it.
One,
But there are advantage
once
and
our work is
yeah,
done,
yeah. Anyway, once you have subscribed, you need to use it continuously, right? To run your business, the cloud also. But what is the difference? When you use on-premise edition, right? You have more control on the system. You can do more customizations, more enhancements to the system, right? But when you go to cloud version, you have very limited customizations or enhancements. You don't have more control on the system, right? But if it is on-premise edition,
yes, sir.
the entire system is in your organization control. whatever the enhancements, customizations they can do, right? The disadvantage is maintenance. We need to take like the company or organization is to take care of everything, right? But the advantage is the company will have full control on the system. Even some companies will worry about data security. They don't want to go for cloud versions because of the data security, right? Now, I'll give you a real world example. I'll take the car. If it is your car, if it is your own car, you can do any modification to your car, right? You can do any modifications. You can do any enhancements to your
Yes, sir.
car, right? Even if you want, you can change the color. It's
Yes.
your wish, right? Based on your requirement. You can change the music system if you don't like the existing, right? But if it is a leased car, you have very limited customization here, right? You cannot do whatever you want, right? When you hire a car, when you rent a car, when you lease a car, yes, you can use the existing features, right? If you want to change the color, is it possible for a leased car or rental car? The owner has to agree, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, these are the disadvantages when you go for cloud. Again, and the advantage is faster implementation. If you go to the cloud version, implementation is very faster, right? And when you go to the on-premise edition, implementation is will take time when you compare with cloud versions, right? So both versions has its own advantages and disadvantages. When the company need full control on the server, they'll go for on-premise edition. Most of the large organizations will go for on-premise editions, right? Some mid-sized companies, small companies or mid-sized companies, and even
It's
large
on cloud.
organizations also they'll go when they don't want this additional overhead of maintenance and everything. They'll just leave it to SAP and they'll just start using the system, right?
Yes, sir.
That is the difference between on-premise and cloud version. So currently we are learning on-premise version. Any like see ABAP, you are going to implement both in on-premise and cloud. You won't find much difference, right? You won't find much difference when you are creating the ABAP applications, right? In both versions. Is everyone clear till now?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Clear.
So the current version of SAP S4HANA on-premise is 2022. The current version is 2022. S4HANA 2022 is the current version. There are different versions in cloud also. Any questions?
No, sir.
Sir, more. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, more companies are used only cloud version.
No, not more companies. Like most of the large organizations are using on-premise versions.
Okay.
Since from the like when they have implemented 15 or 20 years ago, at the time we don't have cloud versions, right?
Okay, okay,
They
sir.
most the ECC systems are on on-premise only, so they just
Okay.
migrated to S4HANA on-premise version. But few customers
Okay.
are migrated to cloud, right?
Okay. Yes.
But most of the customers are still using on-premise versions. Cloud versions are
Okay.
increasing in these days, right? The customers, more customers are going for cloud. So in these years, whoever whoever trying to implement new SAP system, right? When they are
Okay.
earlier they are using some other ERP product or some other systems. When they want to move to SAP ERP, so many of the customers are going for SAP S4 HANA Cloud.
SAP.
New customers, new to SAP. Someone is new to SAP, they are moving to cloud. Who is currently on SAP
Yes,
ECC
sir.
on-premise, they are simply migrating to SAP S4 HANA on-premise versions,
SAP has to.
right?
Okay, sir.
And few companies are using hybrid model also. Hybrid model nothing but few functionalities will run on SAP S4 HANA Cloud and few functionalities will run on SAP S4 HANA on-premise system. If they have existing S4 HANA on-premise system, for any new implementations, for any new projects, they are going for S4 HANA Cloud subscription. And they'll integrate both systems. They'll integrate both systems. That is called hybrid model. They have on-premise as well as cloud. Few functionalities will run on on-premise and few other functionalities will run on cloud version. Okay, that's called hybrid model. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay.
Sir, clear.
And we'll start on ABAP basics from tomorrow onwards. How to log in into the SAP server, how to access the SAP server, right? And how to write basic program. We'll see from tomorrow. Okay. All of you please remember, you should understand the core concepts. Then only you can easily work on the system, right? If you don't know what you are doing, right, it will be confusing. Yes. So why we are learning SAP ABAP? Why we are learning SAP ABAP? What is the use of this SAP ABAP? Yes, to enhance the
Connected to
SAP ERP applications or to create the custom ERP
create
applications,
customer.
right?
Yes.
That is the role of ABAP developer. So as I told you earlier, there are huge opportunities in these days for ABAP developers. There are many migration projects are happening, like from ECC to S4 HANA migrations are happening. Even many new implementations. Customers who's not having SAP ERP, they are implementing it newly, right? Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow on ABAP. Okay. In between, I'll explain about HANA database features and different things. So again, it is mandatory for everyone to spend at least or 1 minute every day. Like before starting the session, you have to explain about some SAP topic so that you can familiar with the different SAP areas and you can easily answer when you are attending in the interviews. Okay.
Okay, sir.